I am joining from my normal Connecticut in the US, which is where I am is only a few minutes from the ocean. So it's a really beautiful spot on the water. And the joy from the year, I think just setting that intention at the beginning of this creative container to focus this space every week for me on finding joy. And after going through the whole COVID thing and major life transitions the last couple of years, and just realizing through the last so many years that I had lost my focus on joy and what makes me come alive, to really kind of dive in. And I've gotten really clear about what I need to bring back into my life and what's been missing and the little steps towards that. And also what's really holding me back in the ego side of things, getting very clear about the things I still have to tackle and what's truly those big blocks that are just, that I'm still like, I don't want to touch that, don't want to go there. Like, that's really scary. Getting very clear with those stuff going into 2024 of what really needs to, like the big things I need to leap over with my higher self to really create, to get around those roadblocks has been really, really helpful. And just getting very clear again about the joys that I have to bring back into my life. So that's been really helpful. And so setting the intention going forward, there's just been so much learning this year, and it's really taking those pieces and really integrating them into my daily life and not letting the ego kind of like, no, we don't need to go there, and creating those problems, and really staying focused in lifting myself up. I think that those next so many months, it's for sure till we start again, staying in that container, like you said, and holding myself accountable to it and using my will to continue forward. Yeah, that feels right. So thank you.
Yeah.
That was the one thing, like I set aside that Friday, for me, it's Friday morning. So that's the one place I just set aside. It was like, nope, I will be there because it's that important. Even if there's places in my life I'm not showing up for myself or whatever, wherever my struggle is, it's like I set that intention. I was there. That was the one day I was working on my choices or using that energy to really focus in on those joys, those creative pieces, and letting things bubble to the surface kind of thing. So thank you very much. It was so helpful to have. I don't know what it is, but it's like if I had scheduled this time on my schedule by myself and there was no one else going to be here, I probably still wouldn't have shown up. But the fact that there was a group here, and it's like that extra level of, and I know we talk about like, we shouldn't need that, like when we go through the curriculum, we shouldn't need that. But something about holding ourselves accountable, and it's to the greater good because we are holding space for each other. Something about that to me just gave me that extra level of this is important. I had set the intentions for this year to do anything creative that brings me joy for the sake of creating, and anything I need to work on that comes through my superconscious, like me time, where I'm allowed to just be and just create art or create writings, programs, visualize my choices and future. Wow, actually, that's exactly what I did. I love that. I love listening to both of you speak, and I echo that first piece talking about sometimes showing up on Fridays and just not in that space, but there's something about showing up even when we're just not there that day, because we're human, right? And we're women, and that happens, and then but just still we're still holding space for each other, and it's like creating that bowl. So it was just so helpful, even on those days when it's like, okay, I'm just going to sit here and I'm literally like just going to, take the gratitude practice for the week and try to think back, what creative things did I do this week, and what, where was their joy? Because I felt like I didn't have much this week, right? But just immersing in that gratitude and finding those pieces sometimes on those weeks that were so hard was so helpful. So I echo what both of you said there about that. And then definitely, so like going into my intentions and what I created, I think like finding those creative things was huge. I just had gotten away from doing anything creative. Like I'd gotten so kind of blocked and closed off in my sacral chakra and anything in below, like I think all my lower chakras were quite blocked. And so just trying to bring in that passion, that joy, and then coming up into the fun and the various pieces all the way down was hard to do. I could feel like the resistance, and there was so many days where I was like, okay, I don't even know I don't even know what would bring me joy today. Like I'm feeling so blocked off from that stuff after so many years of just kind of being in this kind of blah space. And so it was really helpful just sometimes to sit in the energy and go, okay, just allowing something to come through. And I found like meditations come through, information, like I'd get downloads on how to unblock my chakras. And I got this one download that was really cool about kind of like opening up and bringing life into each chakra and asking each chakra what it needs. And I hadn't done anything with it. It was still sitting in one of my journals. And I went to a friend who's helping me with some physical therapy, and she does like the myofascial and cranial sacral and all that stuff with her physical therapy. Like we kind of talked about all like that role thing. She does pieces of that, right? And she did a meditation and a download with me, and pretty much word for word said exactly that meditation on me to get me to unlock locked emotions that were physically locked in my body for the last 30 years, to get me to release trauma out of my body. She's like, yeah, exactly. These physical issues are locked in your body. And she used that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe I literally got that exact meditation that you just used on me in the past. She's like, oh, she says, I got that as I was doing the work on you. So again, the universe just kind of conspiring. And it just, to me, so those are kind of some of the really incredible pieces of things that I have created this year, where with stuff like that, and just the joy pieces. I think one of the places that brings me so much joy and I want to get back to is I used to horseback ride. I used to be a professional rider, and I got injured and couldn't ride anymore, and got away from the horses. So setting that intention and knowing that I needed the physical therapy, and I hadn't reached out to my friend yet, and she reached out to me first, the physical therapist. So that was really cool. Another one of those, like you hold the creative tension and things start to come together. So that's one of those things that I created this year that was super powerful, that goes along with that. So there were so many little things, and just allowing myself that me time where I wasn't thinking I should be doing something was so powerful me on Fridays. Just there wasn't anything I needed to be doing at that moment other than being present. And I really appreciate that. It was really helpful. There were so many things that you said that just resonate with me. I love how we get, I just love how we get together and you say it's like, oh, it like sparks so many like aha moments. I just appreciate that so much, how that always happens. For myself, I really learned how much my ego and how much of myself is just kind of like locked, how much of myself was locked, and how much I'd kind of like thrown away the key on an ego side, and how much fear there really is still like attached to trauma underneath that. Really, even just trying to do little things and make little strides forward, how much it was just like that backlash that comes, those patterns really kind of come back to like, like to, put you back in your place. Now that I'm really kind of, I think I'm a full year in the curriculum now at this point. I think this is my first, I think I'm finally to a full year. I think it was like a full year in October from when I started Create Your Destiny to now in the work. And so it's been obviously a very interesting journey for sure. And I'm seeing where that ugly piece really rears its head, and how much through the years I've been totally afraid of my true greatness. And so on a daily basis, I really see where even where I go into my higher self to do so like my choices or something, and I go into that vision and then I try to get my bridges, how much I'm truly not actually still in my higher self, that I'm still operating from that lower belief about myself, and I'm receiving bridges based on the lower belief, and I'm starting to get very clear on seeing those differences and going, okay, no, I need to do more to make sure I am actually outside of the ego and above, and how hard some days it is for me to connect to my higher self and create from that higher space. So that was really eye-opening. And how much, the beliefs like have me second guessing in things in my own business and the things I really wanted to create this year, and realizing how much I had this vision for what I wanted to create in my business, and I didn't get any of it created, and the resistance that I came up against it, and really realizing I was trying to create something that I thought would work for myself, but was not really kind of wholly joyful, if you will. Like I feel I was had to trying to force myself to create it in a certain way because I have this vision for the future that I want. But the way in which I'm going about it was trying to force myself in a way that doesn't really work for me. So I think it's that realization that going into 2024, I have to allow that vision to kind of reshuffle and look completely different, and allow that download, that information to come for me, and set those choices up completely different. Because when I'm in alignment, I see how fast and how easy the things I want to manifest are. And then looking at the things where there's a ton of resistance into what I'm trying to create, I can see where it's massive fear, or it's just it just doesn't work for my brain, or how. So there was a lot of learning around that. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else did I learn this year. Oh, I think I learned a lot about allowing myself the time and space to do those creative things. And I learned where in my business and with my own clients, where my fear like holds me back. Like you were talking about in the intuition pieces, like my intuition is stronger and my skill sets are stronger than I give myself credit for, or I see, and I second guess myself when I shouldn't. That I really learned a lot on that too, is that resonated with me. And just where I'm denying myself my true needs to be met, and where I give so much of myself to everyone else and I'm not giving that same level to myself. And it's like I will use my intuition to help others all the time, lift them up and reach their goals and their dreams, but I'm not doing and allowing the same to come through for myself, and where I second guess what I'm hearing for myself. So, but I definitely learned that I am much stronger, powerful creator than I thought I was. So that's what I learned this year so far. Again, what you said, Annalise, about the ADHD, same. I'm in my late 40s and had no idea that I had it all these years, and how I ran my life to just stay high functioning all these years without knowing, really tanked my health. And that's part of why the last so many years I have done nothing, because literally my energy, like I just tanked my body. And so learning to try to get back into that, be in that high functioning space, I just went back into those patterns of like go 1,000 miles an hour and don't. It's with ADHD, it's either that you go 1,000 miles an hour, or you're stuck doing absolutely nothing in that like paralysis, ADHD paralysis of like you can't even get off the couch, or you're doom scrolling on Facebook or something like that. So growing up, I had learned to just go 1,000 miles an hour and not take a day off, not sit down, not sit still, just go, go, go. And then hit 40 and my body went, nope, we can't operate that way anymore. And so I've spent the last 7+ years now trying to like just heal from all that, and then figure out new ways to do it. And the same thing, medications, all that stuff don't work for me. So how do I get back into creating this life and this big business that I see in my land of plenty, but yet that my belief and my patterns say you have to do it this way. It's like a very masculine, like you have to go this way, you have to be very driven, you have to do it this way. And I have to focus, and I have to force myself to sit in front of my computer and do this. And I'm so over that those ways don't work for me. I'm so over not having healthy mechanisms to move forward in life. And I'm so over not leading with joy and creativity in my life. And because all those years of just trying to stay go, go, go to get successful and stay at those levels really forced me to cut out a lot of creativity and joy, and just to stay focused and not get stuck in down here in that lower level. and the not feeling like I'm worthy of, if I'm not operating at that higher level and just taking time off, or, which is interesting because at the same time, I have this scarcity kind of lack mentality around love and abundance, like financial abundance, that the two are tied to each other, that I'm not worthy, I'm not allowed to have those. And that's such a very dead place almost. It's like soul crushing place to be. So I'm so over those rearing their ugly head when I try to work on abundance in my business and just in general with my creativity and doing things I love, like singing and dancing, or like you said, painting, or whatever it is that brings me joy. And my, that the chatter says you haven't done enough or created enough or brought enough money to take the time to go do those things that you love. Those aren't important. Like, you have to stay focused. I'm just over that kind of beating myself up and denying myself a whole complete beautiful life that, like, I see in my land of plenty. I'm over feeling like I can't have that, or it's too big, and it's exhausting and scary, because that's where my brain goes, is that, oh, the ego says that's exhausting and scary, like all that land of plenty stuff, you can't have all that. Those visions are too big from like where I am now to there. And it creates that whole story, yeah, that I can't have that and why I can't have that. And it's just too much work and I'm just going to burn myself out again. I'm just over that space and feeling that way. And it also then it really affects my will. The ADHD piece, if there's not enough dopamine, it's really hard to balance and get myself on to take those soul inspired actions to counteract the ego. So I'm over not having enough will to do those things that are soul inspired and are self-love, that are really important, that I need to do. And the lack of balance, I'm over feeling like I'm in this like mental physical prison almost. I'm over not having the sovereignty in my life and that peace on a mental, physical, spiritual level, and just feeling like I'm held hostage by my egoic identity. Yeah. And I'm just over that fear of my true greatness. Listening to both of you talk and the stuff that you've created in your life. I mean, you both may not feel like you've created to the level to which you wanted to this year, but as someone who's new to the work, it is so inspiring to me. I'm going to start crying because it's just amazing to me to see what you guys have created and the things that you're doing, because you're both doing pieces in your life of that I see in my land of plenty that I would love. I'm working on allowing myself to go in those new directions. So thank you so much for being so inspiring to me this year. So exciting. And I'm looking so forward to the alchemy, embodied alchemy course. Thank you so much for that opportunity to win that as a gift, because it's truly going to be a gift. I know it is. And I know it's exactly where I need to go and what I need to be doing next. So thank you.